From the Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center in Eagan, this is Vikings Live.
Hey everybody, it's your announcer Paul Allen, and this is Vikings Live on Fox 9. Into the Atlanta game, our featured guest tonight is this guy, Kyle Rudolph. How excited are you for the season opener?
PA, are you wearing makeup?
Come on, man, not with people here. You can't say that. I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
I'll see you later, PA.
Kyle Rudolph coming up very shortly. Now, as we navigate this dark hallway, we are about ready to enter the light of the beautiful TCO studios for Vikings Live with these loving fans. What's going on? Let's have a good time tonight with Vikings Live on Fox 9 and your host, Hobie Artigue.
PA, thank you very much. And no, there's nothing to be ashamed about. You're looking great, my man. Welcome to Vikings Live, yet another season here from TCO Studios, alongside former NFL receiver Ron Johnson, and a special guest this week, Robert Smith. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here. And clearly, I'm not wearing makeup or fake hair, you can tell. So I'm ready to go, man.
All right.
Let's do it.
Looks like you're ready to talk some football, so let's talk this team. Robert, let's start off with you. You played for some very successful Vikings teams. Is there anything from those teams that you see in this one heading into the 2019 season?
Well, there's a lot of talent, but it's the nature of football. You never know what can happen during the course of the season. Talent's never enough. Injuries can happen, mistakes can happen, but I think that the pieces are in place now, and it's not just the players, it's the staff as well. I think having Kevin Stefanski be named the full-time offensive coordinator and then bringing in a guy like Gary Kubiak and his experience, obviously, world championship experience. And how do you do it? Run that ball. So I'm excited about that.
Of course, it's a running back that says
absolutely,
that.
Man.
Sounds like the wide receiver that says you need to throw the ball to win the championship.
Yeah, you want to be a good quarterback. Have a good running back that you can hand it to. Take some of that pressure off of you, because you have people talking about how much money you make on TV all the time.
Speaking of the quarterback situation, year 2 under Kirk Cousins right now. So many people have expectations for him, as we heard with you earlier. What type of quarterback do the Vikings need Kirk Cousins to be starting in week 1 this year?
Well, we're not going to talk about the money because Robert doesn't want me to do that. So I'll just talk about the expectations. I mean, you have Stephon Diggs, you have Adam Thielen, you have Kyle Rudolph. So you have 3 guys that are very dependable. So he has outlets. But like Robert said, and I agree, I am a receiver, but I'm going to say, run the ball. If you look at the Atlanta Falcons, we'll jump into the reason why you want to run the ball against them specifically, but you have to be able to own the clock, control the game, because if you throw the ball 3 times and it's 3 and out, you're now giving, not only do you change the field position, but you don't take any time off the clock. So your defense out there a long time. And we talked about that with Rick Spielman. When the offense was turning the ball over back and the defense had to go right back out there, they were getting worn down. And that's why they were 15th in the run last year on defense.
All right. Well, one of Kirk Cousins' targets, he's been out of practice at least 1 day this week, and that's Stephon Diggs. He missed on Wednesday. Today, he was limited in a capacity with a hamstring issue. I know that's a very tricky injury to deal with, but that said, heading into week 1, you never want to hear this. Is this a cause for concern whenever one of your top 2 receivers is on the mend right now?
Well, I mean, you're always a little bit concerned when you're a little bit banged up, but you've got talent. I know that BB, a lot of people think very highly of him, and you've got the new piece and having Irv Smith. And I think I'm really excited about having a guy like Irv, who I had a chance to watch quite a bit covering college football with Alabama. And you have those versatile pieces, guys that you can line up in the backfield and then split out, create mismatches. So there's still talent on the squad. So whether it's Stephon Diggs or whether it's Dalvin Cook, people who are banged up a little bit, they're going to be people that are going to be able to step in. There's a lot of talent on this team.
Yeah, and I think with Stephon Diggs, it's a soft tissue injury. So you have to be safe. You have to be cautious. I think the Vikings staff is doing a great job of keeping him off the field for now. Hopefully he can go Sunday, but honestly, if it's not 100%, you don't really want to push it too much. I mean, 90, whatever, but know your limitations. I think he knows his body. He's been doing a lot of yoga and Pilates and stuff like that.
Have you?
I wish, no. I don't think my back could bend like that. But, I think he's doing all the necessary things. He puts it on Instagram when he goes to these sessions. And so he's doing the stuff to take care of his body off the field. Now the coaches have to do a great job of taking care of him on the field and make it to Sunday.
Dalvin Cook healthy now. Also the interior of this offensive line completely rejuvenated, getting some new pieces in here. Everyone's excited to see the zone blocking scheme in play. Robert, as a running back, what should we expect whenever they hit the field against the Falcons on Sunday?
Well, I think we're going to see a great greater emphasis on the run this season. I think we could see it really in the last 3 games that Stefanski was the offensive coordinator a year ago. And you bring in a guy like Gary Kubiak, again, we talk about that experience running the football. Dalvin Cook's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, I was really excited when they drafted him. I was able to see the things that he could do at Florida State, and we could see in the preseason 85-yarder busting off a play like that. And I know it's a preseason, but you know he's got all the talent in the world, not just running the football, but again that versatility, having a running back that can line up in the backfield, split out. You've got a mismatch. You've got a bigger guy trying to cover a guy like Dalvin Cook. There are just a lot of things that you can do to put pressure on a defense by starting off in one look and then giving them something else.
Switching over to the Vikings defense, they're going up against an Atlanta offense that's going to have a ton of weapons. You look at running back, you look at wide receiver. What's the most important part of that side of the ball as they head into this first game of the season?
Yeah, you have to confuse Matt Ryan. You can't line up in vanilla looks. And we know Zimmer has a lot of things he likes to do on third down, but when you look at the Falcons' offense, they have so many receiving weapons. And so, yes, we know Xavier is going to take care of Julio Jones, but then it comes down to Mackenzie Alexander and Trey Waynes covering Mohamed Sanu and Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley, honestly, is the X factor. Calvin Ridley at Alabama, he ran every route out of the book. He creates routes. He does some things that are not normal in the slot, and that's where it gets tricky because you're thinking it's a normal out route, and he does this like kind of jitterbug out and then back in, and that's where the DBs kind of have to just, you can't overplay it. You can't try to always go for the interception. Keep them in front of you and get the third down because they're not that good on third down, at least last year under Sarkisian. Now with the new offensive coordinator, too, that makes it a little bit tricky.
You heard Robert mention it. It's all about running the football with this offense this year, but it's not going to just be on Dalvin Cook and that offensive line. Oh, no, the Vikings drafted a guy by the name of Alexander Mattison, and this weekend he's going to be making his NFL debut. And for more on him, Dawn Mitchell has a little bit more on what's to come from Mr. Madison as he gets ready for his first NFL game. Dawn.
His preseason game against the Saints, he went on the road and he scored a touchdown. Now, he caught it. He wasn't rushing. He said, you know, he got that out of the way. Now he wants the fans to see in purple what he can do with his legs. He says the running back room wants to carry this team on their legs, and he's about to prove why. But first and foremost, he was happy to get that #1 touchdown under his belt.
It was one of those things where, you know, I knew there was some opportunities for it to happen, but for it to actually happen. And, you know, a part of all this is just me living out my childhood dreams and getting the opportunity to really go out there and just prove to myself and prove to everybody else that, you know, I am capable of doing this, and I want to be one of those guys that can be, you know, great in this league. So it was just an awesome feeling just to know that, you know, my dreams are coming true.
So away from football, I hear that you're also fluent in Spanish.
Yeah, it's like estoy muy emocionado por mi primer touchdown in an NFL. Wow. It's kind of a weird sentence, but yeah.
Because English is a weird language, right? It doesn't always translate.
Yeah, it doesn't always translate, but yeah.
So you've got your very first official NFL game coming up against the Falcons, U.S. Bank Stadium. You talk about dreams coming true. Do you dream about your first official NFL touchdown? Have you seen that in your head? Are you one of those people that kind of see it? Is it a rushing touchdown? And what's it like?
Yeah, I visualize a lot. I do a lot of meditation and visualizing. And just, you know, those dreams don't come true without any work. So I just come out here and try and work every single day just to make sure that when that opportunity presents itself, I'm able to get in there and do, you know, what I've seen myself doing before. And so, yeah, I'm just excited for the opportunity coming up Sunday, you know, and just most of all, especially, just make sure that we go out there and win at home.
Now, if you were wondering what he said in Spanish, he says, I'm looking forward to scoring my very first official NFL touchdown. He also says that they're the dreads, the 3 of them. We know Dalvin Cook, Madison, and Mike Boone. And he said, we hope that sometimes we can confuse the defenses if they look at us from a certain angle, because that's what some of his defensive guys from the Vikings have already said. So we'll look into that coming up on Sunday. I sit down with him lengthy, one-on-one. And we also delve into the musical. I'm not rapping right now, you guys, but you heard of Alexander Hamilton. Now, some of his teammates are hearing Alexander Mattison, and we'll tell you why coming up on Sunday. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. You mentioned the dreaded running back room. Well, guess what? Atlanta has a pretty dreaded wide receiving core because not a lot of defensive backs like to face those guys. And you have to imagine that this might be the biggest test for this secondary this season coming out of the gate in week 1.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, the Vikings were number 2 in stopping, or number 1 actually in third down defense. When you look at third down for the Falcons, it's so different for so many teams because 71% of their catches or offensive production first downs are coming from those 3 guys. So you have to kind of really minimize those guys and then force them into other positions. You know, other guys have to beat you, like Hooper or a running back.
Sure.
You can't let those 3 do it because that's who Matt Ryan feels comfortable with.
I mean, it's got to pick your poison with those guys, too.
Well, but here's the thing for me. You know, they're pretty solid at 2 spots along the offensive line. So you use that solid defensive line that you have. A lot of noise in U.S. Bank Stadium, and you really get after Matt Ryan, really force him to get rid of the ball quickly, and really just try and force the issue. Don't allow those patterns to develop. Really get some penetration on that line, kill the run game that way, and force those longer throws on third down. And that's what helps those third down numbers so much tougher to convert 3rd and 6+ than it is in that third and 2 to 3 range.
Atlanta's defense is pretty good, too. They had a lot of injuries last year, but you look up front, Vic Beasley, Grady Jarrett, 2 run stoppers. And let's start off with you, Ron. Let's break down a play here, and the defense is pretty good at swarming to that football.
Yeah, and it's a numbers game, and honestly, I'm not going to hate on Eli Manning, but in this play, you'll see Eli Manning shouldn't have run the ball. I mean, it's an 8-man box. Your numbers count. Motion a guy out or switch it up or do something. But the Falcons are going to try to go 8 against 7 blockers, and when they do that, they win. They're going to see another one where it's in shotgun. They don't really care where you're at. They're going to overdo the guys and just outnumber you. And that's all you're seeing here. You can't put a hat on everybody, and one guy's coming free. Now, even if you held that block, it's still running back versus linebacker, and the Falcons like that matchup. I don't think they want a running back on a DB, but running back on linebacker, they're going to take that all day.
But there's also ways you can exploit a loaded box, and that's throwing the football too, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and as you mentioned, I mean, it's a numbers game. If you've got 8 men in the box and you've got 2 wide receivers split out, you've got 3 guys to cover 2 receivers. One of them is going to have single coverage. So this is a case where whoever that single cover guy is, you got to win. You got to be able to get some separation. But you don't want to just run into these unblocked players all the time. Find a way to get that ball outside of the box. But again, those receivers, they have got to win in those situations. And hey, that's why you're doing it all preseason long. You go into training camp, you do those one-on-one drills. If you're that guy that's in single coverage, you have got to win.
I see Eli Manning should have done that. He should have checked out through the ball.
That's why they drafted a quarterback, Rob.